The film begins with a nuclear apocalypse. Over time, humanity huddles in the middle of a post-apocalyptic desert. The entire land is barren, except for a small area in Australia known as the Green Place of Different Mothers. This oasis still has water, allowing fruits to be cultivated through farming, and is home to many women. In this haven, a girl named Furiosa is picking a ripe fruit when she hears a noise nearby. Investigating, she discovers a group of bikers. She didn't want those bikers to know about the place. Furiosa manages to cut the oil pipe of one biker's bike and is about to cut another when she is spotted. Before the biker can catch her, Furiosa stabs him in the leg and makes her escape, whistling loudly to alert her community members about the coming danger. However, as she runs towards her home, a biker manages to stop her by throwing a rope that catches her. The bikers take the girl with them as proof of the existence of pure land where children are born without mutations and have green land. On the other side, Furiosa's mother, Mary, who immediately sets off in pursuit on horseback. During the chase, Furiosa's mother managed to kill one of the bikers, taking control of his bike. She then killed another one of them. The other bikers stopped to see what happened to their other bikers. They saw Mary coming towards them. They accelerated their bikes. Meanwhile, Furiosa bites through a fuel hose. The chase continues until nightfall. Because of the bitten hose, the fuel runs out, forcing the kidnappers to stop. They make a camp to stay for a while. In the morning, Mary catches up with the kidnappers. She climbs to the top of a dune to get a better aim and sees the bikers' camp where her daughter is being taken. Mary shoots one of the kidnappers and he falls. The little girl is brought to their leader, Dementus, who is curious about where the fertile lands are. Furiosa remains silent, but Dementus realizes he can track the path by following Mary's trail. Dementus was very cunning. He treated Furiosa well and instructed his followers to take care of her, hoping to deceive her into revealing the location of the Green Place. Mary disguised herself in the clothes of a killed raider. She sneaks into the camp under the cover of a sandstorm. She kills the guards, sparing only the woman guarding her daughter. The woman's guard pleads for her life and says she is being forced to do this. Mary spares her life. However, just as Mary and Furiosa get away, the surviving woman guard raises the alarm. Dementus dispatches a pursuit after them. The bikers attacked with bombs, burning all of Mary's clothes. To escape the fire, she removed her armor suit, got back on the bike, and fled as fast as she could. Despite covering a great distance, the bikers remained close behind. Realizing she couldn't outrun them, Mary understood the dire situation she was in. Mary gives her daughter a peach pit and instructs her to ride the bike home, while she stays there to hold them off. Bikers capture Mary, but Furiosa, desperate for her mother, returns to the bandits. She witnesses her mother being tied to dead trees. They execute Mary right in front of her crying daughter. Later, the Biker Horde traps another gang. Dementus offers the survivors a chance to join him, but there are only 5 spots, matching the number of bikes needed for the execution of the rival gang's leader. The bandits fight each other, eventually tearing the bound boss apart, all while Furiosa watches. Later, an old man told Furiosa that if she learned to read and write from him, then she would become useful. This way, Dementus won't torture her. However, Furiosa refused to listen to him. At night, she steals ink and a needle from the historian assigned to her. Furiosa feared she might forget the way, so she drew the entire map on her arm. During another raid, the Horde spots a red flare in the sky, fired by a pale young man who talks about the Citadel, where there is water and plants. Thinking this might be the Green Land, the gang went there. On arrival, they find the Citadel, a fortress built into the rocks and ruled by Immortan Joe. The bikers, who were running low on resources, threatened Immortan Joe, saying that if they didn't cooperate and give the bikers what they needed, then they'd fight them. In response, Immortan Joe mocked Dementus and ordered one of his warriors to sacrifice himself. This demonstration proved to Dementus that no matter how powerful they thought they were, it was nothing in front of Joe's army of 972 warriors. All of these warriors were ready to die for him. Joe's army ambushes the bikers from above, seizing their equipment with cranes, including Furiosa's cage. Dementus personally fights for her but is pushed back. Some warriors try to drag Furiosa inside a hole to capture her, but Dementus saves her. Dementus, Furiosa, and some other warriors escaped. Not ready to give up, the Horde finds a refinery producing fuel. Dementus sets a trap for the Citadel's convoy, capturing a load of fuel. However, he wants more than just fuel. He orders his men to strip and cover themselves in white clay to look like Joe's warriors. Disguised, the Horde drives the tanker back to the refinery, pretending that bikers attacked the convoy. Seeing this, the people of Gastown open their doors. After taking control of Gastown, the Dementus cut off the fingers of Gastown's leader and sent them to Immortan Joe as a message. So finally, Joe and Dementus had a meeting. Dementus needed basic supplies that only Immortan Joe possessed. To confront him, he brought along the leader of Gastown, who was also Immortan Joe's brother and gravely ill. The leader's bodily functions were supported by various machines. To provoke Immortan Joe, Dementus first tortured his brother using these machines before ultimately killing him. Then, he turned to Immortan Joe and said that he had planted bombs throughout Gastown. He is the only one who knows how to activate or disable them. He wants to be the leader of the Gastown, or he will blow it up. As Dementus spoke, Immortan Joe's gaze landed on Furiosa. Joe offers a deal to Dementus to prevent his men from destroying the refinery. He proposes that he becomes the ruler of Gastown and starts trading with the Citadel. To seal the deal, Joe demands the young Furiosa, a girl without mutations who could potentially give birth to healthy children in the future. Eventually, the parties reach a compromise, and the girl is taken to the Citadel where Joe's other wives live. There, they have relations with the unmutated women in the hope of producing unmutated children. If a woman can't produce an unmutated child after 3 births, then she is killed. Furiosa escapes to a room where she retrieves a peach pit, a gift from her mother. She scraped her hair off and made a wig out of her. Later at night, one of Joe's sons who was interested in her came and took her. He starts looking at her by touching her arms when he sees the map drawn on her arm. The man angrily asks what is, but she doesn't speak. The man then grabs her hair from behind, but Furiosa runs ahead, leaving her wig in his hands. She applied some grease on her face and hung from a pipe to hide. Time passes, and Furiosa, with short hair, hides among the inhabitants of the Citadel, pretending to be a mute boy. Her fearlessness and agility, which helped the mechanics save an important piece of equipment, allowed her to rise in the local hierarchy. Years go by, and Immortan Joe builds a truck for transporting valuable cargo, war rig. The girl plans her escape during the rig's first trip by hiding food supplies and a motorcycle under the chassis. Soon, the rig sets out on its first route with an experienced driver, Jack, and is guarded by Joe's soldiers. In the middle of the desert, a biker gang sets an ambush by raising a field curtain. Joe's warriors prepare for the defense. The soldiers throw explosive spears at the attackers, who respond in kind, activating skydivers who drop flammable mixtures from above. When one of the attackers' motorcycles gets caught under the rig's wheels, Furiosa, hanging under the chassis, almost loses her own motorcycle. She tries to save it, but the fuel hose of the rig gets damaged. Understanding that there are few options left, Furiosa crawls to the engine to replace the hose. A biker climbs onto the tanker, silently killing Joe's soldiers. Furiosa fixes the cooling valve, but gets noticed by Jack. He realizes that it's not a mute boy, but a girl. Realizing they have no other allies left, they fend off the bandits together. The bandits launch an aircraft, but Furiosa shoots down the pilot. However, another glider appears. While the shooter reloads, the girl sneaks to the control panel and activates the tail mill, which winds the attackers onto spinning chains. Impressed by her combat skills, Jack offers to make her his partner. Soon, Furiosa accompanies him on deliveries for Immortan Joe. After a visit to the Bullet Farm, Jack gives her a sawed-off shotgun and tells her she is free to go wherever she wants. On the way back, they stop at the gas town ruled by Demetrius, whose power is declining. He can't satisfy hunger or pay for food with fuel. Returning to the Citadel without food or fuel, they explain the situation to Joe and his team. Realizing this is a bad omen, Joe sends Jack and Furiosa with War Rig to the bullet farm for ammunition for the upcoming showdown. The convoy reaches the bullet farm, but upon entering, the guards are ambushed by snipers. Only Furiosa manages to back out before the gate closes. Jack climbs out of the War Rig, shooting the men who have taken over the farm. Jack signals with a green whistle to return to base, but Furiosa didn't want to leave Jack alone and let him die. So she grabbed a sniper rifle and took a position. She shoots at enemies. Among the enemies on the smokestack, she sees her arch-enemy, Dementus. She snipped a few men on the smokestack but was hit by a grenade launcher. Meanwhile, Jack rams the smokestack's base with the War Rig, causing a collapse of the main structure. Unfortunately, the rig also falls into a pit, but Furiosa arrives just in time on a motorcycle to save Jack, hanging above the ruined smokestack. Dementus was rescued by his gang with an excavator. Angered by the attack on his stronghold, he sets off in pursuit in his Bigfoot truck, breaking through the gate. Using its off-road capabilities, the Bigfoot and bikes cross the mountain while Furiosa and Jack make a detour. They notice Dementus following them, and Jack tries to shoot back, but he gets hit by a bullet. Furiosa's hand is pinned between two vehicles. Dementus pushes their car into a ditch. Dementus decides to make an example out of them by hanging Furiosa by her injured arm and tying Jack to a motorcycle to be dragged along the ground. He releases dogs, which maul Jack on the move. He continued this for hours as he loved them being tortured. After some time, amidst the rising dust, Dementus stops the execution. However, instead of the captive girl, he finds only her arm. As the gasoline runs out, Furiosa, bleeding, wanders towards the Citadel. Some mad people drag her beneath the ground, but she manages to escape. Reaching the Citadel, she presents herself to Immortan Joe to tell what happened. She told him how Dementus had taken over Bullet Farm and was headed towards Citadel next. Wanting to punish Dementus and reclaim the settlement, Joe equips his own army to venture into the Wasteland. Furiosa informs them that Dementus wants Joe and his army to go to Gastown so that they leave Citadel exposed. Joe planned to deceive Dementus into believing that they were marching towards the Citadel by sending a few vehicles and scraping the ground to make huge dust waves. Dementus falls into their trap and attacks the Citadel. Furiosa gets a mechanical prosthesis and cuts her hair short. She reaches the desert. It's evident that Joe won the war, and Dementus, with few other of his men, flew the battlefield. Furiosa takes the last available vehicle to follow Dementus. After a series of foul play by Dementus, she managed to catch him. Waking up, Dementus finds that the water in his canteen is gone, and someone has stolen his front wheel. He sees a figure on the dune, but his revolver is out of bullets. Realizing his options are limited, Dementus falls to the sand and says that he is ready to die. Furiosa steps forward and asks if he remembers how he executed her mother. But over the years of power in the post-apocalyptic world, Dementus has ordered so many killings that listing them would take days. No one knows exactly how Furiosa killed her arch-enemy. In reality, she took him to a secluded place in the Citadel, keeping him alive to feed off his flesh. After harvesting the first fruit, Furiosa takes it to Immortan Joe's garden. From there, she leads the concubines to hide in the tanker of the War Rig and escape to the Greenlands. This is Buff Recap. Stay safe and thanks for watching.